Mr. Dean Graziosi. If I had access to what you're offering now, I can't even imagine the mistakes that I could have avoided in my business.
No, don't go down that road. Don't sell them. You sound like a freaking salesperson. You got the thing all wrong. There's no such thing as life-work balance.
And I got up and I left and I never went back to college. Probably one of the best decisions I ever made. We have a lot of people that need to know what you guys are teaching. June 13th through the 15th, Dean and Tony are putting on a mastermind event. This is an opportunity for you guys to have a seat at a table that 10 years ago didn't exist.
True story.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another edition of the Heavy Checklist podcast, but this one is pretty special because we've got a very special guest with us, somebody who I've looked up to for a long, long time, and somebody who's recently become a pretty good friend of mine, Mr. Dean Graziosi. Dean, welcome.
Man, good to be here with you guys, man.
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you. It's funny because, you know, I started watching your content probably 2011, kind of right after I got married. I was looking for like a little, you know, I was starting my personal development journey. I didn't really have, back then coaching groups weren't a thing. There wasn't like as much access to this type of information as there you know is now. So I remember looking all over the place and gathering your videos and snippets and clips and things here and there. And I learned a lot from you. But what I didn't learn in all of those clips and different things I saw about you was the fact that you are quite the gearhead, right? This is, so for those of you who don't know, we recently went down to Arizona to Dean's place to have a meeting and kind of get to know him and his staff and his team because we've got some really cool stuff that we're working on together. And as part of that, we got to talking and, you know, Dean was learning about where we're from and what we do and the kind of stuff that we're into. And I guess you had seen, somebody had maybe showed you one or two of our videos beforehand. You'd seen something, right?
Well, I saw a few, and then once I did, I geeked out on a lot of them before you got there. You know, they were addicting, thank God, you know, so.
Yeah.
And who else comes to a meeting in a helicopter, and not just a regular helicopter? Talk about making an entrance.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well. We
story.
landed in we flew our Blackhawk down there and landed right behind his office building in a church parking lot.
We knocked an old man over and knocked his shoes off on accident.
He thought that we were crashing.
Yeah, he definitely thought we were crashing.
We all jumped out, you know, went over, made sure he was okay. Everything was fine, but it was quite the experience. And in being down there with you and talking with you and seeing your incredible operation and everything that you guys have been doing, you've really had your foot on the gas these past few years, especially since COVID, when live events kind of got turned upside down. You guys made some serious lemonade out of those lemons. But what we learned about Dean is that he's not just the guy in the personal development world who is, you know, pretty much, you name it, Dean has probably done it, taught it, or learned it. He's a very, very knowledgeable dude, but he has a background in, you were the New England area state champion snowmobile racer. What was it? What was the title you got?
I was drag racer. I used to grass drag my snowmobile, and then ice drag, you know, grass drag in the fall and ice drag in the summer, in the winter.
I'll be honest with you.
You know what's so funny is I have to be honest with you. Sitting across from you guys at dinner was the biggest gift for me. I have to be honest. We had an amazing meeting. Got to know each other, and then the team put together a nice dinner. And I was so blessed to sit across from you guys. And I want to say that because sometimes you forget. Like, you know, you're in a new phase of life, a new chapter of life. And I'm in a chapter of my life. I'm partners with Tony Robbins. We get to do this cool stuff. We're doing an event with 1 million people. And I love what I do more than anything on the planet. But I had a chance to sit across from you guys. And that I sent you some text like that, able to reminisce. I started at 17 years old. I bought my first wrecked car.
Yeah.
And I took 3 months to fix it, and I flipped it. And then I got into a collision shop and would buy wrecked cars and fix them and sell them. And then I got Dean Collision Center and Dean Auto Sales. And I was at 21 years old, I was hustling. I didn't come from money, and that was the only way I knew. I knew how to work with my hands and how to paint cars, fix cars, change engines, change brakes. And I had snowmobiles since I was little, but I wasn't loaded. So I don't want to go in this story too much, but I just want to say I love the underdog
go for it because
story.
I love it because when you tell this, it shows so much relatability. I think a lot of our listeners look at you, see what you do now, and it's like, how do I ever get there, or am I ever going to go that direction? But when you peel back the layers a little bit and you realize that you're just a guy like one of us, you've just learned how to focus in on these certain areas and just really excel at them. The fact that you were talking snowmobile jargon that people don't talk about. You're talking about like porting the heads and like going through and clutching, and like you're doing all sorts of stuff that like only usually high performance people know about. So it's really cool to see that side of you, Dean. Honestly, I don't know why, and maybe this is bad, but learning all these things about you made me trust you so much more. Like I just all of a sudden, like I just felt like this is a guy he's one of us. Yeah, he's not. You're not unrelatable by any means. Even though if at first glance people might not see it. I didn't see it for years, and I followed your content. So that's why I'm pretty excited about this relationship and this friendship and the partnership that we're working on, because you bring a lot to the table, because you've been there, done that. You've owned Dean's Collision Center, right? The car auto body shop. You've worn a lot of hats over the years.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to say, so I just get the point. If you took a regular day, take a slice out of 21 years old. I worked on cars during the day. I had 2 tow trucks. So in my little town, if there was I had the town would had my pager number. That's how long ago it was. If there was an accident, I would get a page in the middle of the night, and I was the tow truck guy for our town.
I love that.
And then at night, a lot of times at night, I'd go work on my apartments. I'd work on an apartment, get another one done. And I know what it's like. I didn't go to college. I didn't come from money. Nobody in my family went to college. There was no white collar. And all I remember is, and I'll get to the snowmobile story in a minute, but why I love the conversation, I love what we talk. All I remembered is I loved the collision shop. I did. I loved fixing cars. I loved snowmobile. I loved all that stuff. But at the same time, and maybe this is something that, people can relate to, I just knew there was something else waiting for me. Yeah. And I didn't know what. And the way I was brought up, my family would be like, hey, you should be so lucky for where you are. And I'm not knocking where I was, but I knew there was something bigger. And the reason I love to shout from mountaintops now is because not, hey, if I did it, you can too, but really the fact, if this guy did it from a tiny town, but what you really need to make it happen sometimes is you need to be in the right industry, right? You got to model people who've already been there. You got to take some massive uncomfortable action. You got to have a bigger reason why. And you got to just keep chugging forward even if you don't think you're making it. And so that's some of the stuff we could talk about later. But let me get to the fun stuff. The snowmobile part was so fun to talk about. I dug up an old picture and texted to you guys.
You did.
Right?
Team Polaris.
We should show it here.
Because I didn't have a lot of money. So when I started racing, I realized I didn't have the money, and I know life has changed a little bit, for the horsepower. And every time I would go to these races, these guys would have way more horsepower because they'd do the whole engine over. They'd get a new crate, a new engine. And man, I had to stick with I had a Polaris 650. I had to stick with that engine. So I just found a way to change the clutching, the gearing. I mean, I was taking files and filing the edge off the clutch so it would engage it at higher RPMs. I did all this stuff. And by year 2, I went 3 years straight without losing a race. I raced Team Arctic Cat, Team Yamaha, Team Polaris, Team Snowmobile, Ski-Doo. I didn't lose for 3 years. It was such a fun point in my life because I'd go there with a pickup truck with my buddies, and we'd take my snowmobile off the back of the pickup. I had all my tools in an old milk crate, and I'd work on it. And these guys would be in tractor trailers. They'd be in tractor trailers with Team Yamaha, and I would smoke them. It was literally the most fun 3 years of my life.
How old were you?
I was probably 20 to 23 or 21 to 24.
That's really cool. So at what age did you...
I still own the snowmobile, which is pretty cool.
You do? I'll pull up a picture here in a second. It was an old Indy 700, I believe, right?
650, yeah. Indy 650.
Yeah, such a cool vintage sled, and those old sleds you can make a ton of power out of. And just the fact that you know anything about clutching and stuff like that, it's really cool. It shows that people aren't rarely what they seem to be. There's a lot more to people than what meets the eye, and you're definitely no exception to that rule. So, Dean, we have you here today because obviously we are partnering with you guys on a really cool project that I'm going to give our listeners and viewers just kind of a quick overview of what this is, because it's a big deal. And then obviously as we move into the podcast a little bit, we will get a little further into those details. But essentially, you and Tony Robbins, for those of you who don't know, Tony and Dean are partners, and they are partners on a business called Mastermind. Mastermind is essentially a worldwide what's the best way to put it? It's almost like an institute of higher education. It's like what college is supposed to be without all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And there's just and
What
it's
a great,
especially
yeah.
yeah, it's like all of the things that you should have learned about business that maybe you would have learned from your dad or whoever you got the business from, and you know, it's kind of the school of hard knocks. So essentially with Mastermind, they've created this program where anybody in the world can join one of their events, which is a game changer. That's a big deal because historically events have usually been in person, especially events in this space. So the fact that you guys were able to take and figure out, COVID not allowing any events, so you got innovative and you built one of the world's greatest studios. You guys now have a studio where you can talk to 1 million people glitch free, and you've got just this dialed in system. When we went down to Dean's facility there in Arizona, we saw a little taste of the media room. It's like a full blown, like, picture your local TV station, their big room with all the switches and all that. It's that times 10. It's just beautiful. You guys have done an incredible job. And the reason you did that is because you and Tony have very powerful messages, and you do a lot to help a lot of people with the information that you share and the things that you teach. So with events being limited, you obviously had to figure out a way to be able to continue to talk to those people while, not breaking COVID, mandates and restrictions. So you guys came up with this essentially virtual mastermind where you set it up, and you and Tony can go present in front of 1 million people for multiple days at a time, and literally create this little university type setting where people are just absorbing like really, really solid information. If you're a business owner and you're listening to this, you better listen to it twice. You better listen to this, because there's some seriously valuable stuff here that, dude, if I had access to what you're offering now back in 2010, 2011, when I was just kind of first getting my start, I can't even imagine the massive mistakes that I could have avoided in my business. I mean, things as dumb as we launched like a really solid kick-ass tire company as a tire brand, like one of the first new U.S. tire companies to come out in a really long time, and we're killing it, selling tires, doing all sorts of good stuff. And then we realized that we didn't have a trademark, and somebody came in and basically said, "Hey, that's my trademark. I'm going to use it now." And they basically took all the goodwill that we had built and launched a killer tire company because we just overlooked dumb little things. We just didn't know. I knew about trademarks, and I did a quick Google search, and from what I saw, it was fine, but then there was a reservation somewhere that we just didn't dig deep enough. And it's because we didn't have the tools, we didn't have the resource, we didn't have the network of people, like-minded people that could help us through this kind of stuff. And like you, I didn't go to college. I dropped out after about 6 weeks. I realized that I was sitting in a class called Environmental Appreciation. Pretty ironic. And I remember the professor gave us a new assignment, and it was a big one. It was like half of our grade, and it was for me to write a report on Easter Island. And I got to thinking, and I pulled up my phone. I was not great like data plans back then, but I pulled up my little Motorola and did some Googling, and I'm like, I don't care about this. And I got up and I left, and I never went back to college. And it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. And it's simply because it's not bad. College is not a bad thing. It's a great thing for a lot of people, because a lot of people need that kind of structure. But for the way my brain works and the way that, as fast as I want to move, sitting in somebody's classroom and writing papers about an island that had nothing to do with any business I was ever going to do wasn't going to work for me. And so that's why I've really latched on to this type of training, this type of education that you guys offer, because it really can fast track you, and it can help you avoid a lot of those silly mistakes. I mean, honestly, I think sitting through one of your masterminds can give somebody the equivalent of 4 or 5 years of business experience, of real world business experience.
The fact of the matter is, we are in a world right now, and I want you to hear this, because I've been through this journey of, I loved what I did, but I knew there was something else, and I wasn't sure what it was until I bought Tony Robbins' course 27 years ago. And the dude sold me information. Like, he sold me stuff that he learned from other people and stuff he learned on his own, and it allowed me to go faster. And literally, when I went through his course, 2 things happened. I was like, well, this was cool. Life happens for me. I could change my story, different state. Like, he gave me that personal development foundation that we've all been inspired by. But the second thing, I was like, This dude just sold me information. He didn't have to put it in a warehouse. He didn't have to store it. He didn't have to ship it. It's inflation proof because you never have to buy it. It lives in here. And he changed my life with it. And I literally decided that week, that month, I'm to literally go in this industry. And you got to understand something. Picture this. 27 years ago, I have a collision shop, auto sales, tow truck, and apartments. And I start building a product to teach people how to make money with cars. My first product was how to flip cars. That was my first information because that's what I was good at.
I think I bought that book. What was it called?
Yes. It was called Motor Millions.
I do have that book. That's hilarious. I just connected the dots on that was you. That's so I did know that you had some sort of background. Wow, that's wild. That brought back a wild memory.
You know that was his book?
No.
You want to hear something crazy? Is everybody told me, you're not Tony Robbins, you don't know anybody, no one's going to buy something on how to make money with cars. When I first started, guys, I literally had an office that I'd be writing estimates on somebody who just got rear-ended, and then a phone would ring in the other room like, oh my God, that's the Motor Millions, and I'd run in the other room like, hello, like trying to act all professional. Like, it was crazy. I was hustling both, but I'll tell you, when I realized, and this is why it's really important to hear this, when I launched this 27 years ago, this industry wasn't cool. People didn't say, oh, I have a coach, or I'm in a mastermind, or I bought a course. If you said something, I got a coach, they'd be like, what are you on, a soccer team? Like, what do you mean you got a coach? You know what I mean? So my whole family thought I was nuts. My sister said, you're not Tony Robbins. I remember when she said that exactly, and she said, you stop being a dreamer.
Oof.
But I have to tell you, when I started realizing that people just want specialized knowledge. They don't want to go back to school. Just what you were saying, Dave. Like, you don't want to go back to school and get all this general knowledge or try to learn on your own. When somebody's already done what you want to do, if you can learn from them, you get to third base in 3 minutes. And that's why this industry is at $1 billion a day. Because the world has realized I don't need to go back to school. I don't have to learn on my own. Let me just find somebody that's done what I want to do. And why I love this, it's the great equalizer. Because you don't have to worry about inflation. And I promise you, the experience you have, the knowledge you have, whether that's in mechanics or being a doctor, whether that's learning how to sell or learning how to get through a damn divorce and you're on the other side. We've helped people in 100 and something countries in over 4,000 different niches realize that what they've done in their past is actually valuable to somebody who's starting off on day one.
Yeah.
And that's really the evolution. And the last thing I'll say when new people say to me, well, I'm not sure my life experience is valuable, I always say, hey, I'll give you an option. Right now, I got a magic wand. I can put $1 million in your bank account. Or I can send you back and you can spend a whole week with your 20-year-old self. And I said, which one do you want? I've never had anybody say the million. It's like, no, I'd go back and I would change this. I would do this. I would tell them, right? So if it's that valuable to you, your life experience is insanely valuable to somebody. And we just teach people how to find that thing, right? For me, Motor Millions. Who would have thought in a million years I could teach people how to flip cars in the classified ads, right? But it was my launching pad. My second course was called Think a Little Different, was how to invest in real estate with no money down. Right? So, because that's what I had done. I was just sharing the stuff that I've done, and it went on to do some incredible stuff. So anyway, now it's at a place, we call it the game has changed, because it used to be really hard. You guys know in 2011, think about what you had to go through in 2011 doing this. The last 12 months, everything has changed. And you guys got to see it when you're here, and that's why we're stoked to kind of scream from mountaintops like, hey, if you have a business, you need to add an information product. If you want to start your own business, you should start it in this industry.
Yep, I agree. So that's, I'm explaining to you guys the reason, for this podcast and why Dean's here and, what we're building up to, because it's actually something really, really special. On June 14th, right? Is that the day that starts?
13, 14, 15.
So June 13th through the 15th, Dean and Tony are putting on a mastermind event that anybody can join from anywhere in the world. If you have access to the internet, you're in. Dean, what you guys have, what you've come to us with is you understand that our audience is, a lot of business owners, a lot of people that could really benefit from this information. However, if they were presented with it through another, platform or through some other source, it may not resonate with them because maybe that person doesn't do what they do. It's not somebody they follow. They're not into that content, whatever the reason is. But we have a lot of people that need to know what you guys are teaching. We have a lot of people that could really benefit and probably change their lives damn near overnight by implementing just a few of these very, very simple principles that you guys have put together in like an incredibly like easy to digest format. So can you tell us a little bit about what the event is and what people can expect?
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Like, listen, you probably fit in one of these categories. You got a career that does the job, but maybe it's not fulfilling. You're at a place in your life where you're just like, there's got to be more than this, right? And I have friends that have been kind of the entrepreneurial in and out part-time dabbler. Like, I think I want to do my own thing, and then you get a little nervous because you don't have the path, and you kind of run back to the other thing. And then there's some people who have a business, you're just always looking for the competitive edge. And what we want to show is if you're the first two, kind of in and out or looking for your own thing, look at monetizing your life experience. I don't know if it's a career skill, a life experience, or a passion of yours, right? If you think about the stuff people do, sometimes it's just a passion. Sometimes it's what I learned by being at my job. Sometimes it's what I learned by this tough experience I went through. Sometimes your mess is your message, right? But so it's somebody who's looking for that next thing. We'd love for you to come investigate and see why we believe you could take the path that I took, that Tony Robbins took, of monetizing your life experience. And if you're in business, I want you to hear this, because if you're in business, you know what a P&L is, a profit and loss statement. I'm telling you, one of the greatest unfair advantages, competitive edges you could have is next year on your profit and loss statement, there is a line item that says information product.
Yeah.
Because you have built an experience, and here's the cool part. You don't have to put it in warehouse, you don't have to pay for it, and it's insanely valuable. I was at dinner. I think I shared this with you guys. If I did, sorry for being redundant. And I know it's not an industry anybody hears them. My wife owns hair salons, and we're at dinner with another couple, and he said, "Well, if it's for any business, what about your wife? How with the people that are doing business, the girls that cut hair, how could they do it?" And I just was winging it, and I said, "Okay, so at the end of every hair appointment, the girls that work for my wife offer them shampoo." I know this sounds crazy, but think about that. And my wife makes about $2 on a bottle of shampoo. I said, could you imagine at the end of every point of purchase, they said, instead of the bottle of shampoo, the hairstylist said, "Hey, our founder, Lisa Graziosi, she's been voted the top hairstylist in Arizona. She created a 7-step course to make your hair younger, stronger, more beautiful, shiny." And it's something so unbelievable that she did it. And it's a 7-week course. We can add it to your point of purchase right now for just $29. Should we add it? My wife hit me. She's like, everybody would take it. I'm like, yeah, and you don't have to pay for the shampoo bottle. You could give the girls a higher percentage. My wife is literally outlining it and creating that to roll out in her. But that's every business. Yep. If you're in the mechanic business, if you're in the trucking business, there are skills that you've learned that somebody else is starting out on day one, and that could be a part of your, I mean, you guys do a podcast. That's part of your information arm of your company, right? So I just believe if you want to start, this is the industry. Just come investigate. It's free for 3 days. If you ever watch Tony and I live, Tony's going to put on a show and a half on day one. It's worth coming just to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys just heard what Dean just said, but he said free. They're offering a free access to a mastermind that normally you'd be talking thousands of dollars to be able to get, in the building, in the doors.
Usually that's something that you guys are charging is thousands of dollars for this type of stuff, but we're doing it and we're able to offer it for free. That's a really big deal, and I don't think people.
And if you don't mind, I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes, but I'm going to give you a link, and this link guarantees you get free access. It's deanandtonylive.com/Diesel Bros.
Diesel Bros. Okay.
Diesel BROS. So I'm sure you'll put it in the notes, but that will get you free. Not kind of free.
Free.
There's no hidden. It's
100%
free.
And one of the things, Dean, I do coaching myself. I have a whole program that I do, and I have a lot of people that ask the question, especially when you talk about big investments, right? Because when they mentor with me, it's a big investment. When they come to my program, Limitless Society, it's a big investment. I always tell people the same thing, and it's a really simple idea. How do you make more money? How do you become better? How do you get the life that you want? And it's just information. That's it. There's nothing else. New information that gets you the ability to learn and then go implement, and that's what changes things. And when you talk about a program like this, it's coming from you and from Tony Robbins. The biggest piece that I tell everybody why you should have a coach, why you should do things like this, is because with a coach, with information, you literally turn years into months and months into days. As human
True
beings,
story.
we walk
True
through
story.
life and we gain experience through time. If I can get with someone as great as you or Tony Robbins and take your experience through your time and compact that into my own knowledge, I literally turn years into months and months into days. And there's a lot of people right now that if they just had a little bit of information, they could literally change every aspect of their life, whether it's making more money, having a better marriage, having a better business, anything that they ultimately want to do. If you set out to do it by yourself, you're going to take 5 years to learn what you could get in a week or two if you're willing to invest, just like you would if you were to go to college, for the information. Come, listen, and implement even 1 or 2 things that you learn and watch how things exponentially change and flip.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And so, Dean, help us understand what the format of this event looks like. What are we, is it an 8-hour day, 10-hour day? What kind of day?
Really great. It's 3 hours a day, 2.5 to 3.
I
Day
love
one will
that.
be 3 hours because
That's good. We're
Tony's
ADD,
going to go.
so
Tony will
anything
go.
longer than that we struggle with.
Yeah, so about 2.5 hours a day. So picture day one is because you might be thinking this is crazy. It's completely outside my norm. I don't have anything to share. Day one will help you see what to extract. You'll be able to go, oh wow, I do have that. Be able to your delivery system. Literally by the end of day one, you'll go, wow, I do have something. That's how I deliver it. And we got some amazing tools to shorten the curve. What you were saying, Keaton, we have the opportunity to take what used to take months and do it in minutes, and we're gonna do that live. We're gonna reveal that. And then Tony is gonna go and do Tony for probably 90 minutes on day one and reach inside your soul, disturb you like crazy, and make you realize that you can be unstoppable. His first book was Awaken the Giant Within. He'll wake you up. And day two, about 2.5 hours, will show you how to sell without being salesy. It's like, there's people out there right now that are dying for you to deliver what it is you have. We'll show you how to find them and sell them. Day 3 is how to deliver it in a way that's congruent with who you are. So each day builds on the rest, but each day makes you go, well, I could do that. Like the way I look at it is you still show up going, let me see if this is for me. And by the end of day 1, you go, well, I think I could do that, but I don't know about this part. And then we solve that on day 2, solve the rest on day 3. And what's the goal? The goal is for when you're done, you go, I need to do this. I wanted to stop, if you don't mind, I want to go upstream for a second.
Let's do it.
And I'd love to have this conversation with you guys. And if it's, I think this aligns with you. I think the American dream, wherever you live in the world, the American dream's gotten a bad rap for the last 3, 4, 5 years, probably the last 20, but the last 5's gotten its ass beat, for lack of a better word. And I think that things have gotten so far away from people living into their, like if somebody says, what's the American dream to me? I would say, this whole life-work balance, you guys understand this more than anybody I've met. I can't stop watching your videos now. There's no such thing as life-work balance. Like I picture life-work balance is you got a job you hate and you get to the front door and you're jingling the keys and you're saying to yourself, be nice to your kids, don't kick the dog, be present with your spouse. Like, come on, because you're trying to shed off this thing that you don't like. It doesn't serve you. Maybe it did at one point and you're trying to find this balance. How does that work? I don't know anybody that balances, but I do know people that have life-work integration, where they don't know where work ends and life begins and life ends and work begins, and it makes you a better human. And why we called it The Game Has Changed, because with Tony and I want to shake people and go, you have the opportunity for life-work integration. And all that means wherever you live in the world, my version of the American dream is that you have the opportunity to live into who you're meant to be, to live in something that lights you up on a regular basis that still can bring you no glass ceiling, not a pie in the sky. We're not going to teach one thing on how to get rich for doing nothing. That's not what we're sharing. And for me, living here in America, and I'm sorry if I'm going in the wrong direction, you guys steer me in, but for me, like I get to be here with you awesome guys. Like I'm working right now. This is my job. This is what I do for a living. I'm working, right? But I look at my grandfather.
Dean, I got to stop you. I got to tell you,
yeah.
We have that same conversation, no joke, at least once every 2 weeks, once a week. I mean, we literally catch ourselves doing the most insane things, and we'll look at each other and just start laughing and be like, this is work.
We're working.
Like, we're working. So you're right. There is a way to do it. And
Believe me, I see. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm saying I see you guys putting skis on a Tesla,
Yeah.
or tracks on a Tesla. I'm like, those guys are working.
It's a job, man. So sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to say that there's not
don't.
just us, but there's a lot of people, even people that don't have crazy exciting jobs, but they just love what they do.
Yeah.
There's a way to love what you do, and you can tell when somebody loves what they do because they're really good at it.
The one thing I would say to that too that I think is really, really important is it's not just for Heavy D and Diesel Dave and Dean Graziosi. Every single human being was born to do that and have that. And somewhere in the beginning of their life, they were inundated with bullshit information that they had to work 9 to 5 and they had to hate their life and then they had to retire at 65 and try to just recoup all those years by relaxing. And the truth is that every single human being listening to this podcast and anyone who would ever even take an opportunity to listen to something like this, they have that same opportunity too. Why not? Why not just have the hope that that could be for you and dive into the idea hoping that you could have that too? Because everybody deserves it and everybody has the potential to have it. Why not go after it?
Yeah. And Dean always says something that I really love. It's you pay for speed. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, there's only a couple ways to learn. To be successful, I think you got to be in an industry that's growing, not dying. If I was on with you boys, I said, hey, I'm buying 500 taxi cabs here for Phoenix. You want to invest? You guys would all laugh at me, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be in an industry that's growing, right? Number two, I think the thing that you just brought up, Dave, I think what most people miss is, and if I'm talking about the ingredients for success, there's lots of them, but the big ones, you got to be in an industry that's growing. Number two, you need to model proven practices. You should write that down 100 times. What happens when we think, and see if I'm hitting a nerve here, when you think about, hey, I could do more. Maybe I could do something like that, but maybe I got to get a following like Dave maybe, but how do you get a follower on YouTube? Maybe I should do Instagram. No, maybe my company's LinkedIn. Maybe I'm more professional. It's like, no, LinkedIn's not my style. How you ask yourself how so much that you get insecure and go, screw it, I'm just going to stay where I'm at. When you change the word how to who, everything changes. You go, who's already done it? How can I cut them a check to go faster? Whether that's mentor underneath them, buy their course, get coaching from Keaton, get coaching from you. Like, how is overwhelming. Who, you're like, oh, well, they already did it. I guess if I do what they do, I could start off where they left off. So that's the second big ingredient, I think, for doing your own thing and taking your current business, the right industry, model proven practices. And number three, I said this earlier, you got to have a big freaking purpose. Not just making more money, that wears out. You get to a certain level of money, you guys have hit it, nothing changes much. You fly the same planes, you drive the same cars, you live in the same houses, you get to take great vacations, you get to take care of your family. You need something, that sounded like, I wish that for every single person. I'm not discrediting.
We don't take it for granted.
What I'm saying is, none of us take it for granted. What I'm saying is, though, you need a bigger purpose when you doubt yourself or the first thing goes wrong or somebody in your family, like my sister said to me, Dean, Tony's 6'7", you're 5'7" on a good day. Tony's got a following, right? Tony's got a following. You don't. How do you think you're going to do it? You need something so big that it gives you chills or puts tears in your eyes. So when people doubt you, when you doubt yourself, when you hit the first failure, it doesn't matter. You'd climb through broken glass. You'd chew through a brick wall. So I just tell everybody when they say, I don't have time, if they say they don't have time or they don't, or they're a procrastinator, I'm like, no, you just don't have a big enough purpose. Yeah. Just dig in deeper. I guarantee if the three of us got to sit around.
I heard something the other day that I really, really liked, and it's so dumb and simple, and that's usually the stuff I like the most because it's the things where I'm like, how did I not really put that together? And it was talking about motivation. And one thing that I've grown to hate when people say is, what's your why? What's your why? What's your why? It's like, that's too broad of a question. You're not doing any good. We're not going to be able to get into anything meaningful because you got to really dig into what are you talking about. So I heard something the other day where it talked about motivation and why people don't have motivation. Where's our motivation at? Why are we lacking drive? Well, it goes back to that stupid question that I hate, which is why? What's your motivation to get up early? Well, I don't have any because I like to sleep in. So how do I find that motivation? Well, I have to give myself a reason why I'm going to wake up early. What am I going to do when I wake up? What is my plan? And I never realized that motivation really is just a matter of having a reason to do something and caring about it enough to be able to actually see it through.
The best definition I've ever heard. It's so simple. If you have a reason why or a big enough purpose, you'll just do it.
Yep.
Now,
you need a bigger house. You need a bigger car. You need to pay for your kids' college. Whatever the why is, everybody has a shit ton of them. We've got a whole handful of whys at any given moment. So why not turn those whys into action? And I think you guys are the bridge.
As simple as this sounds, I have a 15-year-old son, Brody. He's freaking amazing. I love the kid. I have 4 kids in total. But I watch this with my son. I tell him that energy, enthusiasm, being tired, it's all a state of mind. And he's always like, Dad, being tired is not a state of mind. I'm like, yes, it is. It's an absolute state of mind. Yeah. You can choose to be tired. I said, you choose to not be tired, to have something big enough that you don't even know what tired is. So I'll catch them all the time. So this Sunday, we're recording this just 4 days ago. Sunday afternoon, I want to cook a big Italian meal, right? So I know he hates going to the grocery store. So I said to him, he's laying on the couch, he's watching TV, he had a busy week. I said, hey kid, you want to go to the grocery store with me? He's like, Dad, I'm a little tired. I'm just chilling. It's my first day off. I've had tennis. I've had this. I've had that. I've had this. I'm like, all right. So I say nothing. Now, you got to understand, he's been playing tennis for about a year now. And the kid's getting so damn good. He beat me for the first time 6 weeks ago, beat me about 3 weeks ago. And all he wants to do is get his old man on the tennis court and beat me now. Like, I know he wants to do it. So I waited about a half hour. He's on the couch, kind of chilling, looking at his phone. Doesn't want to go to the grocery store. About a half hour later, I'm like, hey, there's an opening at the tennis club. Do you want to go play? He's like, hell yeah, let's go right now. He ran upstairs, put his shoes on, got his thing. I came down, I was laughing at him. I'm like, hey, what happened to the tired kid who had a busy week? I'm like, it's a freaking state of mind. You did not have a big enough purpose to go to the grocery store, but you got a big enough purpose because you want bragging rights to beat your dad at tennis. Yeah. I said, that is life, brother. I said, you always have to have something that drives you. And sometimes, listen, don't be afraid to go to the dark side. I'm just being honest if I say this. The reason I started wanting to be an entrepreneur is because my dad left when I was 3. He never gave my mom child support. He's a great guy now. My mom worked 3 jobs to make about $90 a week. We were always broke. Trailer park, got evicted from the damn trailer park. My biggest why at 12 years old is I'm getting rich to retire my mom. At 22 years old, I sent my mom her first check. I've been giving her a check. She's 80 tomorrow. As a matter of fact, my mom's 80 tomorrow. I still send her a check every week, bought her the house of her dreams, buy her a new car every 2 years, right?
That's awesome.
I've done that. That was my why, right? That was my why. Can I tell you what my why was at 20 that just drove me hard? It was the dark side. People go, oh no, you need something more positive. For me, truth, I didn't want to end up like my dad. I'll just be honest. He's been married 5 times. His brothers and sisters didn't talk to him. Always worried about money, always argued with people. He's one of the dearest people in my life now. He's still alive. He's 88. He's become a new man. But when I was 20, some people say you need aspiration. I got to that. But at 15, I didn't want my mom killing herself for nothing. And at 20, the hell I was going to end up like my dad. My dad worked on cars and jobs that he got fired from and all that stuff. I was not going to be that man. So I ran away from pain, but it was enough to get my ass off the couch working hard. And then when I started getting momentum, then the warm, fuzzy balloons, puppies, and rainbows came in of bigger purpose and contribution and helping other people and all that. Sometimes you just need whatever it takes to get your butt up and moving.
Yeah. I think one of the things I wanted to go back to, because Dean said it in the second part of that principle, was a lot of people are worried about the how, and they should be looking at the who. And the reason I want to bring that back up for this is, and I'm not going to put Dean down the same way I will us, but like when I look at us and what we have accomplished, like we started from nothing, and we don't have a lot of talent and a lot of skill and a lot of all these other things that successful people have. If people are looking at the who, it's a really easy way for you to go, well, shit, Diesel Dave did it, Heavy D did it, Keaton did it. Like, if they could do it, I can do it. They started from nothing. They had nothing. These guys were the bottom of the barrel type of people who have accomplished the things that they want to accomplish. So if I let go completely of the how and all I do is look at the who, I'm looking at people all across the board who have essentially made something out of nothing, and if they can do it, so can I. There's not one person in this world that's going to see stuff that somebody else hasn't seen that hasn't become successful with the same exact circumstances. And if that's the case, then every single one of those people should be looking going, well, man, maybe I don't know the how, but I sure as shit know that that person could do it, and I know I can do it, and then move from there.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I agree with you, Dean. It's everybody has different reasons why and different motivations. I had a similar motivation when my dad died. I needed to be the one to take care of Mom. Nobody told me that I had to. I just knew inside that I needed to be the one to do it. And so I started working to be able to create a life that does that. And it's a very gratifying feeling, being able to do something for somebody else that they can't do for themselves. We've got a lot of different people listening to this. It's a very, very diverse demographic, and I love our viewers and our listeners. And the reason I say that is because we get a chance to run into them sometimes at different events, and they'll come up and they'll share with us things that they've learned through what we've taught and just watching our videos or whatever. And it's crazy, absolutely mind-blowing, and sometimes I still don't believe it. Some of the transformations that take place with these people with very, very little push in that direction. You don't have to nudge some people very hard. So there's a lot of people that are kind of on the fence right now, like, should I take the risk and go start my own business? And you guys have 3 different types of people essentially that would be looking at, attending this event, and that would be the investigator, the part-timer, and the owner. Correct? Those are the 3 types of people that could potentially benefit from this. The investigator, who's our investigators? Somebody who may be working a job they're not real thrilled with, somebody who's been thinking about maybe starting that side hustle. Is that a good description?
Perfect description.
Okay. So the investigator is somebody who thinks that they're capable of probably doing more, especially in the world of business. If you feel like you could contribute or grow or build your own company and do something really special, then you're technically considered an investigator. You're curious about your potential, and I love that for you because that's literally my ethos. My whole life is I'm curious about my potential, and I want to see, and I want to test the limits of everything, and I'm very curious, and so I'm investigating everything. So those of you who are listening, if that resonates with you, it's normal. It's an okay thing. But what's not normal is to sit on the fence about it. You need to get to work. You need to make some changes, and you need to actually start finding the communities that you want to be in and bringing those communities value. Whether it's the blue-collar union of plumbers on the East Coast and you just want to be with the best pipe fitters around, or whether you want to team up with somebody who's really good at sharing information and knowledge and things like you do, like a coaching group. It doesn't matter. You can connect with a lot of these different people and a lot of these different principles and concepts, but it's never going to just fall in your lap. This is as close to falling in your lap as it's going to get, guys. You didn't ask for this, but here we are giving it to you because we believe that the value that can come from this will literally be life-changing. You'll be able to be one of those people that comes up to us at the events and say, hey, I just so happened to jump on that call, or I joined this, or I joined that, and I just bought my family their first house, and I bought my mom a car. And I've heard those stories, guys. Those things are actually happening day in and day out, but it's only happening to the investigators who are taking the action to actually do something about it. Next to the investigators, we have the part-timer. Part-timer, pretty self-explanatory. Somebody who's kind of got one foot in, one foot out. They'll work on their side hustle over the weekends, but the thought or the risk of maybe going all in doesn't work, or the timing, the circumstances, whatever it is. And then you've got the owner. You got the guys, most of us here today are all the owners. We've gotten to the point where we own our own businesses. We've owned let's actually play a game real quick. Keaton, list off one business you've owned.
Supplement company.
Okay, supplement company. I had a excavation and rock wall waterfall company. Dave?
Diesel apparel company.
Diesel apparel company.
Plastic surgery clinic.
Plastic surgery, interesting. Cattle. I was in the cattle business.
Dental office.
Rings.
Okay. Bodyshop, obviously. Fabrication. General contracting. Concrete. Demolition.
Gym.
Automotive repair.
I love it.
There's probably 60 or 70 businesses that we've owned between the people.
Yeah, I got more LLCs than I've got red blood cells. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So, Dean, with these people, can you help me understand what you can do for each of them and why they should stop what they're doing right now and go to TonyandDeanLive.com/Diesel Brothers or Diesel Bros? Diesel Bros?
Diesel Bros.
Diesel
We'll put the link
Bros,
up.
yeah.
We're going to mess
Bros.
that up, so we'll put
I'm
the
just going to
link
say
up.
it over and over again because
Yeah.
I don't want people to forget this. This is not a sales pitch
Here's
either
the
because
thing.
it's free.
No, I know it's an invite, and here's what I'd say: those three different buckets, and I'll talk about each one of them again. But the one thing that they do have in common, which all of us have in common, is you just know that there's something more, right? There's more freedom, there's more choice, more time, more joy, more alignment, right? Like that's what we're all fighting for. If someone's still watching this episode, right? If you're watching right now, you know that there's another level for you. And what I'd say is if you've tried in the past, you've been scared, you're a part-timer, or even if you're in business and you think, I don't know if I have time, but I'd love to have an information product as a part of my company. I'm going to share this on day one. So you show up, this is going to be the only little redundant piece. But this is what Tony and I have been geeking out. We were just on the phone a little bit ago. We were just spent an hour on the phone talking about it. We're so fired up for this event. We're more excited about this than anyone we've ever done. But you need three things. And I know I said you need the 5 things to be successful. But if you really think about if you're going to learn from the who, and maybe this will help you just know what to look for in the future, what you need to make sure and why you maybe have failed in the past, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, is because you need 3 things. You need first the right map, right? Like, I guess the best story would be if it was 1848 and you were in New York and they said there's a gold rush, there's gold in California. If you get out there and prospect, you can have the land and have the gold. You got to go. If you were going to go in 1848 from New York to California here in the States to get the gold, the first thing you would need is the right map. If it was off by a little bit, you never find the gold. So you got to have somebody that really understands the map, right? Not somebody who just draws it on a napkin and says, just go west. No, here's the map right to the place.
But then also importantly is you need some verification of that information. So you need third-party verification of the information on the map.
Without a doubt. And make sure that they've actually had proof that when people follow the map, they actually get to the destination.
Yeah,
not fall off the
somebody
cliff.
who's been there and they're like, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
Here's
follow the map. The map worked.
Yeah, right. And the next is we all need a guide, right? We need someone to cheer us on, because things are going to go wrong along the way. We're going to get lost. I'm not sure where it is, right? Like a wheel falls off the carriage, or you're just getting your mindset, and you need someone to keep you accountable, to keep moving forward, keep you in a state of mind. So a lot of times you might have had the map, but not a guide, and you fell back to old habits. So then I picture it's like if you're going to California, you got the map, and someone's cheering you along, they're keeping you motivated, and then they bring you all the way to the mine where the gold is in it, and they go, hey, the gold is right behind that rock. And they hand you a spoon. You're screwed. Like, you need the right tools. The last part is you need the right tools. Like, you're not we made it all the way across the country. You made it through the thing. You got me inspired, and I got a spoon. I got to move a rock. It ain't going to happen. So I would just think if you've ever tried something in the past and it didn't work, don't blame yourself so much. Really think, did you have the right verified map?
Yeah.
Did you have somebody keeping you accountable to move you forward? And did you have the tools to actually make it? Because whenever I think, because I've had multiple businesses too, guys, whenever I think, I'm like, oh crap, I was missing the right tool. I was missing the right vehicle. And I think that changes. So what we're going to show in these 3 days is how to get the right tools, how to get the right map, how to get the right guide, so you're not out there on your own trying to figure it out.
So essentially, this 3 days will hand them everything that they need in those 3 categories to get whatever it is that they're trying to access.
I don't know if it's safe to say that. I think you're probably safe to say this is gonna open those doors and help them understand that there are
That's exactly
solutions
what I'd say.
to their problems.
The reason I asked that question is because I am being an advocate for those people who are listening to this that are like, so you're telling me if I come for 3 days, I'm going to get a map, a guide, and the right tools. And I would like to be very specific as for we're going to show you those things, and in 3 days you're going to be in a place where either you have the right map and you can figure out where to find the right guide, and we're definitely going to teach you what the right tools would be.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 hours a day, we're going to do our absolute best to cram it in. But I'll give you this, with complete certainty, at the end of the 3 days, you'll know this is for you or not.
Yeah.
And the best part, and the reason we do 3 days, we could probably do something in 90 minutes. If you know anything about Tony, my partner who inspires me all the time and inspired me 27 years ago, it's always about reciprocity and over-delivering and giving value in advance. If you came and decided this isn't my industry, I still promise you'll send these 3 guys a message and say, thank you for inviting me and allowing me to go free through that link. Because it is an unbelievable event to show you what's possible.
Yeah.
You'll see that where the world is going, right? We're either 1 step ahead or we're 2 steps behind. That's just the way life is. And this is us showing you how to be 1 step ahead, how to meet the world where it's going, how to use innovation and make it simple to get an unfair advantage. Most people have had an unfair advantage. So that's what these 3 days are for you to go. At the end of day 1, like, heck yes, I got something. Day 2, I could sell it.
How important would it be for those who are listening, who are interested in doing this and had the question, what if I can only make a day or 2 days? How important is it that we would say this needs to be a full 3 days? You need to be there all 3 days. Like this is a whole system commitment.
It actually is. Each day builds upon itself. Now, I'll just be honest with you. A week later, we take it down. So this isn't on the internet forever. It won't be on YouTube forever. And we create that urgency on purpose because your life is worth it. Like if somebody said to you 3 days, 3 hours a day, 9 hours max, it's probably gonna be more like 7. 7 hours could shift your life forever. In the scheme of things, you'd be like, my God. I mean, if you got to the end of your life and you met your maker and he said, hey, how come you didn't live in your full potential? Hey, I didn't have time for that 7 hours. Come on. I was busy. Right?
Yeah. And here's the thing about Dean and Tony is you'll go if you don't believe us, just go comb through any of their previous content over the most previous years. They don't talk just to talk. Every time that you guys talk, you're delivering like massive value, and the amount of aha moments I have when I'm around you and Tony is pretty wild because I feel like I'm a guy that's fairly advanced and I'm with it in a lot of ways, but man, you guys say things and it's just like, holy shit, that I knew that, but I didn't know how to even tell myself that or help myself understand that. And so that's where if Dean and Tony are talking, you should be listening because there's no hot air coming out. It's like Tony's a killer. I mean, it just gets straight to your soul and just shakes you.
And ultimately, I think the biggest thing that I want to portray, because again, we're going to have a lot of people listening to this, is if this is something that you want to do, be decisive and just make the commitment and be there for the 3 days. Don't come out for the first day and go, nah, well, maybe I'll go to the next or maybe I'll go to the next. Like if we're offering something that's free, that has massive amounts of value and you want to change your life, the best way to change your life is to be decisive and then commit. And ultimately, I want that to be said because I think even from the people that I've talked to, people are like, 3 days. Well, what if I just came for 1? What if I just came for 2? I want to adequately portray the importance of let's be decisive, commit to 3 days, and at the end of the 3 days, if you hate it, I'll bring Heavy D to your house and you can punch him right in his face.
Yep, I'll take it. I'll take it right on the chin. Dean, I'm gonna give you a few different examples of people that could potentially be listening, and I want you to explain to them why or what they could potentially have to benefit from attending this. All right, so I'm a small business owner. I am the world's best source for Mexican tortillas. I import them from Mexico every single day. Me and my wife have this little business, and we're selling tortillas. We're trying to get our subscription program going. I know this actual story. It's a buddy of mine. He might be listening. How could I benefit from this information and selling more tortillas?
Okay, so I would not recommend that your friend would build a course to sell at first. I would have them build a course for authority. I would have them build a course of how do you make the world's best Mexican tortillas at home. And I would say, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is the ingredient, don't use this, that's Mexican American, not real, authentic. My wife's Mexican, so I'm hungry right now as you're saying this. I'm gonna text her and tell me to make some tortillas on the way home.
Make some extras.
But so I would say build a course with authority, something like the best Mexican tortillas at home from the world's, and get that out there to the world. Because that builds authority, it builds reputation. When you start thinking of the best tortillas in the world, you're gonna go to them because they're the one that wrote the book on it. They built the course on it. They taught you. When you eat that amazing Mexican food at home, who are you gonna be thinking of? The person that you got a course for free on how to do it.
Yep.
That is the exact way that you should use a course or a digital product as authority that gives you next level credibility.
Yeah.
And then when that starts going good, the second one might be, hey, this went so well, why don't we create a next level tier and actually train people, or create a monthly membership where we go live every month for $19 a month and give them a new Mexican recipe live in person from our kitchen on a regular basis. And if they did that, think about, as the free one starts to build value, as the company starts to build, you built a membership that one day a month, you turn the kitchen for 2 hours into a place you cook. You already own the kitchen. Somebody said it to me the other day, you teach people how to make money with sawdust. And it's like, imagine if you owned a mill and you got to usually sweep up the sawdust and try to get rid of it. Imagine if you made money with the sawdust after you made money on everything else. Yeah. So you can still make money selling Mexican food. You already got the business, already got the place, already got the knowledge, already got the gas in the tank to cook. Once a month, you go live and do a live cooking show for $29 a month. All of a sudden, 1,000 members are paying you. You got 30 grand a month coming in a thing that you already have, and new customers. And I'm just winging it. But
Yeah,
that's
no, I
the
love
kind
it.
of
And the
thing.
best part of that is that tortilla guy's selling $100,000 worth of tortillas a month, and he's making 20 grand a month because that's usual profits on a business. And now you're giving him the ability to make 30 grand a month, and he's still doing the same.
Let me tell you the best part about that answer is, Dean, I feel like I know you decently well now. I kind of had an answer in my head of what you were going to say, and you didn't say it. You said something different, and that's what I love about you, man. You actually have the ability to think through things from so many different angles, rather than just the one angle, which is pretty traditional in this industry, which is just, the whole motivational component and just screw fear and just go after it. Like, that's not who you are. You're actually able to dissect something, and which is why I think this is so valuable for so many people. Because, next example, I'm a long haul trucker. I'm 55 years old, 5 years away from retiring. Not looking to change up my gig or anything like that. I don't want to go work for somebody else. I want to retire soon, but I am worried I'm not going to have a ton of money in retirement. I don't know how long it's going to last me. What can I do?
Okay, so I'm going to give you an answer that's going to be total. There's two. The simple answer is, you could do something to train new truckers to make life easier, better, quicker. That's easy. But you know what I'd say? You spent a lot of years as a long haul trucker, a lot of time alone. I guarantee there's something you're passionate about. You're passionate about 67 Chevys. You're passionate about old Mustangs. You're passionate about something. Some of the greatest courses and trainings people have are things that they're passionate about, and you have the ability to do research.
Ooh, I like that.
In today's world, using AI, using interviews, just think, I'm going to use Tony as an example. His last book, his book's on Money Master the Game, on investing. He's not the investing guy. He was passionate that people were getting ripped off in their 401ks, and he interviewed a lot of financial guys that were smarter than him, and then wrote a book about it because he was passionate about it. He healed his arm, his torn rotator cuff, through stem cells without surgery. He's like, why doesn't everybody know about this crap? He investigated for a year straight and wrote Life Force, one of the best-selling health books. He's not the health guy. So for that long-haul trucker, you could create something to help young truckers, because they're starting off where you once were.
Damn it,
But
you did it
could also
again.
find
I
that
thought I knew what the answer was going to be.
This
in
is such a cool thing too. I literally.
But
and it's
you
funny
literally
that
could just,
You asked this, like,
Yeah.
I started working one-on-one with a trucker, a guy who's been a trucker for 20 years, and he wanted to change his income. And I said, listen, you've been training these people, all of these things for so many years, to start their own trucking company, to have their one truck or two truck or whatever. And we started a program 6 months ago of him getting truckers in to show them how to have their own businesses, because most truckers work for, $1.20 an hour, yada, yada, yada. And his business has exponentially blown up, and now he's just coaching truckers on how to become independent entrepreneurs in the trucking industry. He's literally doing $20,000 a month now in his coaching group of information, and he's been a trucker for 30 years. And it just
so
overnight,
awesome.
It's crazy. That's why it's funny you asked that question, Dave, because that's literally somebody that I worked with, that he's been making $80K a year, and now he went into, I'm going to coach truckers on how to get their own truck and have their own company. And he's got these truckers coming all over the United States, coming in his program, and he's selling them information for $197, and he's literally doing 20 grand a month, and it's completely changed everything in his life.
And he's just selling something that's, not taking up shelf space. You're not having to go and buy it. You're not having to go mine it and source it and do all these different things. You just have it.
He told me yesterday, he goes, dude, I just go out and drive trucks now because I just have so much time. I still love trucks. He's like, I'll take a route once a month just because I have so much time now and I'm making more money I've ever made. I still like trucks, so I go drive randomly.
Yeah. And he does it all without having a warehouse, without having to have a huge staff. I got one more example for you, Dean.
I'll take it.
I'm 39-year-old dude, got 4 kids, happy as could be. I sell life insurance for a big brokerage. Maybe one day I kind of want to buy in, be a partner, have my own brokerage. If not, but it's okay. I've got a good book of business, and I'm just selling life insurance. But I've kind of got it down to a science now, and it's just like I'm not learning anything new. So I've got some like free time when I'm not following up on leads.
So this one's exciting. This one's cool because you got to realize sometimes we forget the journey we've been on. He's at a place where he's 39, 4 kids, and it's working for him. And imagine if he could go back and spend a week with his 20-year-old self. Could he have, whatever it took, he's 39, from 20 to 39, if you had someone mentoring you, could you get what took you 19 years done in 5?
Yeah, probably.
Absolutely. Because of the information.
Maybe 7.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like, no, don't go down that road. No, don't go after people that make under 70 grand a year. You got to go after people who make 225 to 500. That's the freaking sweet spot. Don't sell them. You sound like a freaking salesperson. Invite them to protect their family. You got the thing all wrong. That's not how you sell. Don't get leads from that. Get leads from American Express. You know, you could reach out to American Express and get, like, all those things that took him 19 years, he could condense and have someone that's just starting in this industry grow exponentially faster by turning that learning curve. And the second thing he can do so I'm thinking long term, as that starts to grow and that income starts to grow from training, then he should quit working for somebody else and have his own brokerage firm. And then the next thing he teaches how to evolve from being in the business working for somebody else to model what I did and get your own firm. This is a 20-year thing that would be more profitable than anything he does because his value is in his life experience, not just the job that he does. And that's where this world is going.
I love that. That's really well said, Dean. What's interesting about this type of business is in this day and age, one of the big professions that people are is influencers. We're influencers, or by some definition or some part of the word. But essentially, a lot of people are viewing, a lot of kids are looking at YouTube and looking at Instagram and all these influencers, and that's kind of what they want to be when they grow up, as a YouTuber or an influencer. But that's really hard to do, actually, believe it or not. You actually have to like,
and it's hard to monetize.
It's hard to monetize. It's hard to make a living for the first 10 years while you're trying to build up an audience, and you're constantly trying to come up with more and more entertaining content so that people will watch it, get the clicks, get the views, get the ad revenue. But it's not an overnight thing. There are some overnight, rare examples. The Cash Me Outside girl, Bad Baby, she's worth millions and millions and millions now, but she had one weird appearance on Dr. Phil. But the reason why I'm going down this path is because people look at doing something like selling information and they think, oh, I have to have an audience. I have to have a big following. I have to have a big this. No, you don't.
It's probably the biggest lie.
It's the biggest lie because you're not competing for their entertainment. You're competing to give them actual knowledge and value. So if you have the best knowledge and value, it doesn't matter whether you have 1 viewer or 10 million viewers. That 1 viewer is going to tell a friend, like, holy shit, this guy knows how to sell life insurance. Like this, you should get this book. I'm going to buy 10 copies for everybody in my office. And then if you're delivering value, plan on growing 100 times faster than if you're trying to just deliver entertainment.
Yeah. Like be an influencer.
Yeah,
absolutely true. And I think that's one of the biggest things people think. If you're listening right now, some of the things is, do I really have something that's valuable? The answer is yes. I think we proved that. The second thing you think of is, I don't have any followers. No one knows my name. Amazing. We've helped people all around the world. And I would suggest, do not think you have to create a following to actually make money. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Most people that build followings don't know how to monetize, right? And when they do, they kind of mess up their audience compared to just starting with your warm network, then starting posting really valuable content. It's an evolution into ads, which is way down the road, right? So there is a step-by-step plan to actually use social media rather than it using you.
Yeah.
And that's why the game has changed. We can identify the exact people. Anyway, I just wrote down before, I wanted to stop for a minute and make it funny. Just be funny for a second is, you said you guys are kind of influencers. Do you know, since you left, I've already ordered a backhoe for my farm in New York, and I got my guy shopping four-wheelers. No, he just sent me a bunch of 2011 four-wheelers. I want an old school four-wheeler like the one I had back in the day.
Definitely.
So he's got 3 four-wheelers, and I'm ordering a new snowmobile next year.
I love that, dude.
You influenced me. 20 years I've been away from being a gearhead.
Dude, you're so right too, because the influencing happens like micro influencers. Some of you have heard that word. Micro influencers are the most powerful influencers by far in my world, because they don't. They have these small communities, but the communities are listening. They are locked in. And Pace Morby doesn't have the hugest channel, doesn't have the hugest Instagram page, but bro, I would bet for every 10 fans or followers that he has, 8 of them probably he knows their name and they've interacted somehow. Whereas you look at other pages that have tens of millions of followers and they follow like 30 people back. Like it's not reciprocal. So this is a world where we have the ability to, regardless of what size following you have, even if you don't have a following at all, that's not what we're saying. This is not like hey, you have to fit this kind of template before you can come in and receive this knowledge and information and actually learn and grow. No, this fits pretty much everybody. If you're alive.
I was going to say, Dean, is it a fair question to say, is there anybody that this wouldn't serve and add value to?
Yeah, for sure. Somebody without hunger. If Tony was on here right now, he would say, if you don't have hunger for more, nothing works.
And that's good to know. Because there are those people who have rolled over and said,
you got to be hungry.
If you don't have hunger for more, nothing works.
You brought up Pace Morby, for example.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you brought up Pace Morby. Pace Morby did really well in the real estate industry. He owns multiple houses. But when he just started to add an information product, now he's got $100 million a year information business.
Yep. It's huge.
Right now, and I'm not saying that happens overnight, and maybe most of you don't want a $100 million business. I'm not saying that to say that's your path, but it's what's possible.
Yeah.
Look, you don't have that. Yeah.
That
I like that. I like how you're making that distinction there, because you do not have to have a business that's doing millions of dollars a year.
The majority of our people are excited to make an extra 100 to 200 grand a year on the side.
This is what I'm talking about.
Impacting people's lives.
Exactly, and 100 to 200 grand a year is a lot of money for a lot of people. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to come up with the extra $1,500 a month living expenses that just got dropped on their lap, and they don't know how to do it. Yeah. And so if we can figure out ways to make people an extra $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter. Once you make your first dollar, ladies and gentlemen, it's game over. You're hooked. You are in, and you are so hungry for more.
Can I tell you the biggest byproduct of it? I don't mean to interrupt you. I just get excited about this. The biggest byproduct that you might not see coming, you might do this to make the extra money and have a little freedom. The biggest byproduct is what you said before, Dave, is when people start saying thank you.
Yeah.
It changes your life forever.
Yeah.
Literally what shifted my life. I went in this industry because I knew I wanted to do something different. And I originally went in and said, it's a big market. I could make money. And then all of a sudden people started coming up to me out of the blue and go, Dean, I was working in this job and I started hustling, flipping 1 car a month. It made me $2,000 a month extra every month. My life changed and all of a sudden you get hooked. You get hooked on the impact. You get hooked on transformation. And what you realize is the more I do better for other people, the more I get paid. I mean, that's an industry we can all say that's pretty damn cool.
It's pretty damn cool. That's exactly what it is. And that's why I think it's important, and I'm trying to draw this very specific picture of what we're dealing with here, because I know that a lot of people are getting dropped into this conversation cold. Like, wow, why are the Diesel Brothers talking with Dean? What's their event? What's a mastermind? So there's a lot to process. I'm gonna kind of strip it down to the bare essentials for those of you who are like me and have a little bit of a caveman brain, and you just need to hear like the basics, and then you can work with that. This is an opportunity for you to hear some of between you and Tony together, you guys have 40, 80 years of experience in this industry? 74 years. 74 years of combined experience in this industry of actually taking information, whether it was Motor Millions and you're turning cars into cash, or whatever it is that you guys have done. You guys have had this wild track record of different things that you do. If people had any idea half the things that you guys do, especially Tony, I feel like I know the guy decently, and calls me the other day. He's like, yeah, I need another Polaris for my new ranch. He just bought 10,000 acres. Like, the guy is going, and there's so much stuff going on. Ultimately, this is an opportunity for you guys to just have a seat at a table that 10 years ago didn't exist. Like, there was no way to get in these rooms. There was no way to get access to these conversations unless you were, silver spoon, or you were well connected. It was really hard to be able to obtain this kind of real world informational value. Meaning, I learned this lesson the hard way. You don't have to do this. You can do it this way, and it'll save you a lot of heartache. You can do this with that lawsuit, and you won't be in it 10 years later. You can, all these different like little things that can save us a ton of time. So if you get nothing else out of this, just understand that this is an opportunity for you to buy more quality time for yourself. Because money does buy time, right? Money buys you the ability to not have to work 9 to 5. Money buys you the ability to do different things. It doesn't buy happiness, but with that time, you can turn that time into happiness if you choose, or you can turn it into pure misery like a lot of wealthy people do. Ultimately, entering this room and coming in and learning from Dean and Tony, I believe you're going to be learning from people who have figured out a way to make money and still make it mean something, rather than just trying to make more, just constantly chasing more and more and more. The money actually has a meaning behind it, and whether it's feeding the world's hungry or whatever endeavors you guys are up to, it's real world information that could. I'm going to go ahead and say that it will change your life. Probably everybody listening. And that's if you show up, and that's if you're actually paying attention, and you come in with an open mind, open heart, and you just say, all right, like, what's the worst that could happen? All right, let's break that down. What's the worst that could happen if you spent all 3 days fully committed to this?
You waste 7 hours of your time that you would have wasted doing something else that doesn't matter.
I don't think it would be possible to have wasted it.
I'm not saying that it is. You're saying what's the worst.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's say worst case scenario, but
You're
I'm trying to dig down that even further, and I really don't think that there's a chance.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to waste your time doing something that
if they sleep through it.
Yeah, you would have wasted your time doing something else. So again, that's worst case scenario.
So it's a cool thing because obviously Dean and Tony make money doing this. They're selling information, but they found a way to be able to get people in the door who otherwise wouldn't have been able to in the past with some of these higher ticket prices and these courses and all these different coaching groups. Like, it's really hard sometimes to get in. You want a one-on-one with Limitless, plan on spending, upwards of $100,000. And it's real value. People are paying it. The difference here is you're going to be able to pop your head in this door of this room with all these people that know all this really, really cool stuff, and you're just going to be able to be invited for free. You're just going to have that opportunity. So it's what you do with it. At the end of the 3 days, they're going to give you all sorts of different things that you can use, tools, access, resources, things that you can say, that was a good 3 days, I'm going to move on with my life. Or you can say, you know what, you're right. Like Dean said earlier, there's something here, and I'm going to go ahead and pursue that a little bit more. And then you can get access to a whole world of information. What's crazy, guys, and I don't know if I can cut this out if I need to. I'm pretty sure we can talk about it. But these guys, Dean and Tony, have created an AI product that basically they have force-fed all of the stuff they know, through all their different presentations and seminars and things over the years. So this machine knows them really well, knows what they would do, knows how they would react and respond.
It's insane. I talk to it. Literally, it's insane. I ask it questions and it answers like me.
I don't understand
that, man. It is insane.
It's,
who would have ever thought in a million years, if you said to me a year ago it was possible, I would have said it's not true.
No way.
Yeah.
That's when we say the game has changed. It has. I mean, it's like literally you could have a hot seat on your phone with Tony and Dean and ask business questions. What would you do here? And what would you use as a headline? What would you teach here? Like literally answers like Tony and I. It's the creepiest and most amazing thing I've ever seen. Like the two things that freak me out is that because it's so easy, it's a conversation. And secondly, Phoenix is filled with, you probably saw the Waymo cars. There's hundreds of those driverless cars all over the city.
Yep.
I'm like, the future's not coming.
It's
the future's here.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
I agree.
This is how you get ahead. And I want to share one thing with you, David, and I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
But a lot of people say, why are you guys doing this and why are you doing it for free? And here's what I'd say is if you guys if you go to a great restaurant, do you guys tell each other? Like if it is knock your socks
Yeah,
off.
I'm the king
like,
of sharing things that I love.
Random
You're like,
text at
oh
1
my God, this restaurant, right? Or what if there's a new snowmobile comes out and you test drive it and it just knocks your hair back, right? You're like, guys, right?
Yep.
Why do you do that? Because you want the people around you to experience what it felt like, experience the results. This industry saved Tony and I's life. And we know that we know the end result so much, and to have life work integration, to love what you do, and now with the change in technology, the ability to scale it, it's like we went to the best restaurant, but we found the best way to thrive. And we're like, we just want to share it with everybody because it's so damn good.
And you have a way to
that's
do it
become
now
our
that's
passion.
that's so seamless, because you think about the back in the day when my family was introduced to Tony Robbins, because my parents came across his personal power tapes, and it was like one of those big fluffy weird cassette tape books that had the tapes inside of it, and they probably spent $19.99 on it or whatever it was at the time. To be able to get access to that information, you always just had to buy and buy and buy. Whether you had to buy a pay-per-view or buy a paid access to a virtual seminar or buy cassette tapes back before the internet was even a thing. You guys have used this technology to be able to create a platform that you can actually you can break that massive barrier. Like the biggest barrier in this space and in kind of anybody doing anything different and better for themselves is the fact that if it doesn't meet their circumstances, usually financially. So if they can't afford to pay for that ticket or whatever it is, they don't even get a chance.
They never get it.
They
They
never even had a fighting chance. And that's the one thing that Joe Rogan talks about on his show is there's a lot of this is totally off topic too, but this is just reminds me is a very good example. There's inner city kids who grow up in the inner city are almost just screwed from the get-go, like from day one, because they're born into this like system, this cycle that is really hard to break out of. Like to be able to get out of that sort of situation and that sort of like family life and everything, it's like damn near impossible, which is why you see the cycle repeat itself over and over and over again. So you can just look at the lower, the really lower class, not lower class, that's not a good way to put it, low income families have a tendency to just kind of always be low-income families. There's never an opportunity to get up.
They never get the chance to be exposed to another opportunity.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons we decided to do 3 days for free. It's like, this is just an opportunity to spark what's possible, to see the innovation that's capable inside all of us. And the cool part is we have some incredible guest speakers who went through some similar journeys and they're doing amazing. So I love that you say that, and I love that you remind me of that I'd love for everybody to go.
That's why
because you get to see something you may have never seen before.
That's why it's so crucial to understand the idea that new information is what allows you to succeed. And you talking about the low income class, it's because they don't have the information that they need to essentially get out.
Yep.
And it's hard to get that in the environment that they're in. But those who do get out simply get new information that allows them to learn and grow and progress and become whatever it is that they want. Which is so cool about this. It's new information.
Guess what? Let's make an example. Hey, Dean, I'm a 12-year-old black kid, live in Chicago, a pretty rough neighborhood. Dad left when I was born. Mom does her best. It's just not a great situation. I'm kind of on my own, but I'm really like I've gotten like one of my passions is food, and so I figured out ways like low-income family, didn't have a ton of money growing up, so I got creative with these different ramen recipes and things like that. I have no chance of college degree. Nobody's going to pay for that tuition. I've got a criminal background because I did something dumb when I was 10. What can I do?
Yeah. So here's what I'd say. When someone doesn't quite yet have life experience, right? You said 12, whether he's 12, 18, or 21, might not have the life experience to go, hey, I've done this before, do what I do. But I said this on stage once, and I'm going to share this, and it's worth taking 2 minutes. We call it the passionate reporter. Because in today's world, because of AI and because of social media, we can interview people who are experts, and we can use AI to compound that information. So think about this. If if let's say he's passionate about cooking a certain kind of food, cook amazing healthy meals on a budget, right? And I want to create a course on how to cook amazing healthy meals on a budget. Imagine if you were on stage and you had a whole bunch of people in the audience and you said, hey, I want to show you how to cook amazing healthy meals on a budget that take less than 5 minutes. And I'm going to show you on a monthly training. It's $29 a month. And every month I'm going to send you, 15 recipes a month and save the budget, and you do the whole thing and you say, it's just $29 a month. Who wants it? Say a whole bunch of people raise their hand.
Guess what just happened, though? Guess what just happened? You just broke a cycle. You broke a generational cycle of somebody who could have just perpetuated the same shit that their family's been through for years and years and years. But you just gave them that root that needed to grow just far enough to hit the river.
You're going to like this even more. So if you raised your hand and said, yeah, but I'm only, let's say 18 years old, I don't have a lot of experience, I haven't done this a lot. Then people might go, I don't know if I could buy from this guy. But then, this is what the game has changed. He said, but here's what I did. I went online and I found the 10 best chefs in the country, in the world, that know how to cook really incredible meals at a discount that are healthy, that are impactful and change. And I DM'd 25 of them. And guess what? 10 got back to me. And I interviewed 10 of the best chefs to help with this. I took in their knowledge and I took the 10 best strategies from the 10 best chefs. And then I went over to AI that thinks like Tony and Dean, and I asked them to help me to craft it into a training that I could give you immediately plus train you every single month. Who would want it now? The whole room would raise their hand. I want to know what the 10 best chefs in the world that cook discounted meals, because he put the initiative. He was hungry. Yep. He followed a path. So the thing is, when people say, I don't think I have enough experience, then great, be the passionate reporter. Have a passion about food and go interview people and get their information and have AI tighten it up for you.
Yeah, if you want a good example of passionate reporters, go to TikTok. It's gotten pretty big. There's a lot of younger kids who just like to be news reporters, and literally they're just breaking current events, and they'll get on there and they'll just say it the way that they would, whether I'm like this kid or whether he's like somebody else. Whoever he's talking in a style that they understand, and people are paying attention. So you've got eyeballs, and when you've got eyeballs, you've got everything. You've got the ability to monetize if you know how and you can follow through, which is other things that you guys talk about, which is kind of the main thing that you guys teach people how to do, is you monetize essentially people being alive. If you've lived and you have life experience or you have passion, you don't have to be poor. You don't have to not have any money. You can actually have income and a living by just following these easy steps. So, and when I say easy, they're not always easy. They're simple. They're pretty simple things that have just been handcrafted into kind of like this recipe that you guys are delivering to everybody that is working in big ways. And I'm gonna go back to the AI product, because that's just an example of one of the products that you guys have. So after the event, they can follow through and they can say, hey, yeah, I want more. I want access to that AI product, and I want access to this and that. And you have the ability for them to be able to come in and enter that whole room, that whole building. Now, no longer just poking their head in the room, but they've got access. And from there, you guys, you've been running this for a while. What kind of success stories have you seen? Have you seen good examples of people who have made pretty wild differences in their lives?
More than I can even share with you. I mean, you understand, Tony and I we've been in it for 74 years combined, but 6 years ago we decided to do this. And, we know this industry, and we get to pull back the curtain and give people the fast track. I mean, it is thousands and thousands and thousands of people, Dave. It has literally become a movement I remember the oddball one sometimes. This woman did painting with wolves. She had a passion for painting, but she wanted people to learn how to relax, so she would do workshops in her backyard. She'd put out canvases, and then she'd bring in puppy wolves, and you had to paint laying next to wolves, because she thought the energy of a wolf and the energy of a painting was dual energies. And I heard it, I'm like, oh man, we should help her. It's probably not working. And like, oh no, she's sold out for 6 months. And I was just like, wow, like painting with wolves. There's another woman killing it, helping women through menopause. There's a guy that teaches how to do fades, right? Is a barber that went from doing fades to now he teaches fades. Accountants who used to be an accountant started his own business. Now he teaches young accountants how to start their business sooner and not wait as long as he did. I mean, it's everything you could possibly imagine, right? And I'm talking about people making a few thousand a month, right? Just to supplement, to some people taking it through the, you know, there was, when you guys came down, there was 3 people in that room. One of them, and I'm not saying this is what anybody would do, but one of them in the room did 150 million last year that you met. And 5 years ago, he was a car salesman and he bought our product 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he just decided, I'm going to teach car salesmen how to be better car salesmen. Now he's got the largest car sales training. He was on your stage, Keaton.
Yeah.
5 years ago, he was a car salesman and he bought our Tony and I's product, and now he's got one of the biggest training organizations.
And he's one of the greatest examples of what we talked about earlier, where he didn't have an audience, but when he gave people information, his audience grew. The reason that he's growing so fast right now on social media is for no other reason than the information that he's giving people, and people are loving it, and he's growing like crazy. So again, he's a perfect example. You don't have to have a big audience to make a ton of money. That audience will come when the information that you have here is given and people want to learn it. One of the things I think is so cool too about this is I always think about civilization and progressing civilization. Like are we more progressed today than we were in the 1900s, the 1800s? And the truth is that if we as a society took this idea that you and Tony are doing and we really put it out into the world and said, this is so much bigger than what you think. What if instead of just colleges were giving information to make people better? What if every single person in every single industry that became experts through their experience helped give that information to the next generation and to the next person? We as a society, us as a civilization would exponentially grow because everybody is giving the information of the experiences that they learned. And that's what's so beautiful about this idea, is that it's not just colleges and professors anymore. It's people that are experts in their respective industry turning around and saying, I want to give this information to the world. And what better place would we be in that if every expert with great information and great experience turned around and said, hey, I want to give you a product that gives you all my experience so you don't have to be 40 by the time you learn what I've learned. You can do it at 22.
So true. Amen on that one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Dean, a few questions for you. I'm trying to, it's really hard. This is a really hard conversation to have because I don't want any guardrails at all. And typically our podcasts go for like 3 hours because we just meander and we have some great conversations, and I want to have that conversation with you. And we're probably going to have to schedule a separate podcast, and I want to do it in person because I hate, it's hard when I'm trying to have a passionate conversation with you and I can't feel your energy because you're not in the room with me. So I'm feeling this knuckleheads and this guy's right here, but not having Dean here with me. So that's why I want to have a follow-up conversation.
As long as I'll fly up there anytime you invite me, as long as we can go do some cool stuff.
Well, that's all we do. That's the name of the game.
That's a given. So Dean, a few questions. One is AI is scaring the shit out of a lot of people right now. A lot of people believe that AI is going to take over all of our jobs and we're not going to, have the ability to provide for our families. What do you say to that?
I say, I heard this, I didn't make it up. AI won't steal your job. Somebody who understands it will.
Yeah.
So, and if you think about anything in history, when the internet came out, we thought it was the end of the world. And can the internet be used for bad? There's porn. You can buy drugs on the internet. And it also allowed you guys to live a life of your dreams and inspire and impact. And Tony and I get to do an event with 1 million people, right? So the internet, it's how we utilize it. AI can be the most incredible, powerful tool if it's used right and understand right. And I think I'm an optimist, so I'm going to just think that the world will put boundaries on the ability for people to do really bad stuff, while simultaneously those that understand it can compound their success. I mean, I explained it to my 88-year-old dad, who's like, tell me about AI, see all you're doing. He's pretty open-minded. I said, think of Google as you're going to a library and you go to the librarian and she knows every single book there and she knows where it is. You go, I need help with this. Oh, great, let me walk you right over. Google was amazing, breakthrough. You can get any bit of information you want. He said, well, how is AI different? I said, AI is if she had the wits of Einstein, and she read the entire library, and she knew how to correlate the best pieces of it and put it together. So you could just ask her, and she would think, oh, I learned this, 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 and this. Here's the best answer. And I said, he goes, oh my God, I get it. I said, so it's not different. It's not a different version of Google. It is something completely different. And what Tony and I have worked on is, right now, ChatGPT, a third of the answers are made up. I don't know if you know that. Tony just told me that statistic. About 29% of the answers are made up. When it can't figure it out, it just correlates, puts it together. Some of the things that I love and some of the things Tony and I are working on is we put boundaries around it that it goes after our information first. So you ask a question about business, about this industry, it is based on our 70 years and how we teach and how we talk. So it's getting real data. So it's really just like having a helper in your pocket, like a really smart assistant that has the answers that can help you get off the blank page, help you compound what you know, help you go faster. So I just think it's one of those things I hope nobody gets mad at me. You got to take your head out of the sand. It's here, it's not going away, and it's not going to steal your job, but someone who understands it could use it to go faster. So you might as well learn how to do it and kind of pony up and jump in.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's one of those things where it's so overwhelming. For me, I'm a guy who understands tech pretty well. Even for me, I'm looking at AI and I'm like, man, just learning all the prompts and learning the systems and all that. It's overwhelming at first.
Let me just tell you, on day one, you're gonna freak out on day one. Yeah. We got rid of the whole prompt thing. The prompt thing just means when you hear a prompt, it means ask the right questions. Right. Which if you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answer. We reversed engineer it and made it like a hot seat. The AI that thinks like Tony and I asks you the question. Oh. You'd be like, hey Dave, so what are you thinking on doing? I've been a trucker for a long time. Great. What are your interests? What would you like to do? It asks you the question, and if it misses, it asks you another one.
That's awesome.
So you don't have to come up with the best prompt. Just have a hot seat with virtual Tony. And it's insane where it's going. I know it's hard to explain, but we're going to reveal it. We're going to reveal it on day one. It's going to freak you out in a good way.
I love that. I'm excited to see that. Next question I have is the economy is doing weird stuff right now. It's crazy out there right now. I'm seeing people that used to have a ton of money don't have money anymore. Then I see people that were broke. It's like the economy's just doing this weird flip-flop. What can you do, or what advice would you give to help us combat inflation?
So, you ever hear that saying, if you're a carpenter and you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. So please excuse me when my answer seems one-sided, but I would just say what Warren Buffett said. If you're going to start a business, if you're in it, that's one thing. But if you're going to start a business, don't start a business with high startup costs and high inventory or product costs, because you'll get eaten alive, right? If you're supplying a product and gas goes up or the cost of plastic goes up, and you're buying something for $5, selling for 10, all of a sudden it costs 7, you're out of business. So just whatever business you're in, it can't be something relying on a small margin of something that could fluctuate through inflation. So again, the hammer and the carpenter and the nail, I see the nail of information. It doesn't matter where inflation goes, you're still pulling it from your life experience. There's no tax on it. There's no cost to deliver it. There's no cost to share it. It is truly a deliverable with zero cost. So, and again, maybe this isn't the industry for you, then just be weary of anything if you decide to do something that has a product cost attached, because inflation could kill you overnight.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. It's crazy. It's been a very interesting process watching, people battle against it, because people think, the bigger you get, the more money you have, the safer you are. No, it's just the bigger your problems get. A lot of these big car dealerships, people that I thought would never go belly up, went belly up because it just snuck up on them and they didn't do anything to get ahead of it. So this is why I love this product. This is why I love doing the podcast. This is why we love creating videos, because a lot of times it's just us being able to deliver ourselves and what we know, and people pay for that. And it's a really rewarding thing. So if any of you watching this, I know there's a lot of people we run into, fans and stuff, thinking, hey, I want to become a YouTuber, I want to start a channel. Do it for sure. I'm never going to tell people not to, but don't bank on that being the route that you have to go, because if it doesn't work, you need to be able to pivot. So essentially what I'm saying is you need to figure out a way to package up what you know and deliver it to friends, family, strangers in a way where it's going to actually improve their life, and they in return will pay you for that. And it's just the most rewarding, gratifying feeling in the world. Like you're just solving a lot of problems, you're taking care of yourself. It's a really unique thing, because I don't think I've never viewed it like this, like just packaging information and selling it, but that's essentially what this is all about. And the reason why this is cool is because your inventory is literally never ending. It's unlimited, because the more you learn, the more you do, the more whatever it is that you're doing, the more knowledge and experiences you can share with people. And that's why you're never gonna have to worry about running out of products, as long as you're continuing to grow.
Yeah,
right?
and it grows. The proximity or the attention actually grows the business even further. So Keaton, you know this, you do a live event. Some people there say, hey, I'd like to be a part of your monthly program. Other people go, the event was amazing, the monthly was amazing, how do I get in a room with you? Maybe it's $100,000. Like the business actually grows once you're in, because someone might start, you threw a couple people out there. Let's say your friend that has the Mexican tortillas, right? Starts with a product just for credibility. All of a sudden takes off. It's free. Everybody's cooking better tortillas all over the country because of this guy. All of a sudden he opens up a membership at $29 a month to cook with him. You're loving it so much. You see the restaurant, you're from a different state. You want to get to the restaurant. All of a sudden people are going to start asking, hey, can I come? All right, I'm going to do a workshop at my restaurant next Sunday. It's $5,000 a person for the weekend. All of a sudden it's packed with people for $5,000 or $2,000 for the weekend to cook hands-on with the person. Like, that's how this business, it starts by the first thing, but believe me, it doesn't end there. Yeah. Because people say, hey, that was cool, I want more. That was cool, I'd like more.
No, I love that. That brought me to my next question, which was, Tony and Dean can do this. Diesel Brothers can do this. But can anybody do this?
Yeah, my answer is an absolute yes, but I'd go back to what I said earlier, is you can do it if you're in the right industry, which this is, and you model proven practices. I mean, we're gonna show you what took us 74 years to figure out. You don't have to make wrong turns. You don't have to get lost. You don't have to get stuck in the mud. We know how to get around the mud. We know how to get up the hill. We know when to lock the hubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we know how to make this work. So you model proven practices. And if you're hungry for another level, that's the ingredients you need.
Yeah, I love that. So we call this the Heavy Checklist Podcast because we base it off of, in aviation, when you fly any sort of aircraft, you have to have a checklist that you follow, and that checklist is very specific. And it's written that way because people have died because they haven't done it the right way. So you just got to follow the instructions. Our checklist obviously isn't life or death, not all the time anyways, but there are some, it's basically, we like to give some marching orders that are easy, quick takeaways that somebody can just go take and work on them. It's a blank canvas. I would love for you to share some checklist items with us that we can kind of put our stamp of approval on.
Let's do it. Sounds fun.
I'll do it. So this is number one, is just go to the website, deanandtonylive.com/Diesel Bros, and take a look, and you're not going to get hit with some, here's a free trial, oops, I'm getting billed $4.99. It's just come and watch this mastermind that they're putting on for free, that they're putting a lot of time and money into, that over like 1 million people are going to be at. So if you're not there, you should have some serious FOMO. So that's going to be my checklist item. Number one is just go to the website right now. We're going to have it in the show description, but if you can't find the text anywhere, just remember it's deanandtonylive.com/Diesel Bros. It'll give you all the information on the event, and we're going to be talking about the event a lot more here through the coming weeks. We're going to probably have a watch party where some of you that are going to participate can come join us. So we got a lot of different cool things happening, but none of it's going to happen until you actually click on that link. So please do that for us.
Real quick, can I do 3 quick ones?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, number one, we all need the motivation to get us moving, right? It's like getting a rocket off the ground or getting your helicopter off the ground. I'm sure the most energy, Dave, is the first 5 feet off the ground. Like you got to push that thing, and then once you're soaring to, you're burning through the Grand Canyon, I'm sure it's less, right?
Yep.
So we have to do everything in our power to get the rocket off the ground, and I would just use whatever tool you have that motivates you to move. And I know you've heard this before, but for me, I just don't want to get to the end of my life and see a video of the man I could have been.
Yeah.
And I think if you did see a video of the man you could have been, that the skills, the capabilities that God, the universe gave you, I think the only dream you would have, the only wish you would have is, could I go back and do it over? And I think today we can say, I have that wish. Wish granted. I'm here today. I could take uncomfortable action. I can learn new capabilities, new skills, and I could take new uncomfortable action. So for me, whatever tool it is, for me, when I think of the end of my life and I feel like I missed it or didn't go all in, it inspires me to make action today. That's number one. Number two.
How would we describe that? That's
Take action.
take action with the tools you have.
Yeah,
Take action.
Okay, I like that.
Take action with the tools. The second one, quick, was put something on your not to-do list this week.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
We all got a to-do list, but I promise all of us are doing something that's a remnant of who we used to be.
I really like that.
Surfing online, having too many drinks, partying with guys that are jackasses, excuse my language. There's something you do that's a remnant of your past that doesn't serve the man you are or the man you want to be, or the woman you are or the woman you want to be. So you don't have to make a big one. Just look at all of it and put something on the not to-do list. Open that space up and then use that space to be a better version of you.
It's a power. I love that one. I actually, you put that in the planner that we got from you guys, and I started using it, and it's such a wild way to look at it because we always overwhelm ourselves and bombard ourselves with things we have to do.
To-do.
Right? Like my to-do list is ridiculous. I'm looking at it right here in front of me. I have to write it down because that's the way I do it. But your not to-do list, I would dare say, is probably even more important, especially depending on what phase of life you're in. If you're at the beginning of this journey or if you're at the tail end of it.
Well, remember this. Yes gets you out of Egypt, and no takes you to the promised land.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. That's a good one. Sorry, I wanted to elaborate on that. What else you got?
And then the last one, I would just say, I was just thinking through, I don't know if this is a checklist, but I just said, maybe it's time to check your soul. You know what happens sometimes when we're in a career or a business that we don't love? The more we do it, the more we forget the dreamer we used to be, the innovator we used to be, the creator we used to be. When we, playing with our kids and we take our kids' crayon and we start drawing the logo of the business we want to create. You go enough time with either a boss or a career that's kind of squeezing your head and you start thinking, maybe this is all there is. Maybe I should just be happy. I should be lucky with what I got. And you kind of just turn down the light of your soul. So I just would say, check your soul because there's a burning fire in there someplace and wake his ass up.
Yeah. Yeah, go figure out what makes you feel alive. And it may be new experiences. It may be skydiving. It may be just talking to somebody on the subway. Like there's things that make each of us tick that I think a lot of times we either procrastinate, we say we'll do it tomorrow or we'll do it another time, we're not feeling it. The thing is, true success starts when you start doing those things like right now. It's not when you do it tomorrow, and it's not when you wait till you got enough money or whatever the excuses that you have. Like there's always somewhere to start. Everyone always asks like, what should I do what advice would you give to somebody starting out a new business? It's like, well, I mean, I got a fire hose if you're ready to drink, but ultimately I think that the biggest step is just go do something. Do something. Do anything. Don't wait for you to learn how to file an LLC.
There's never a perfect time.
No.
There's never a perfect. It's like having kids. There's never a perfect time, and it's the greatest reward simultaneously at the same time.
Yeah, and I think going back to the last thing that you said, the last checklist item, check your soul. Ask yourself if you've ever really truly done that, and if you have, when was the last time you did it? And if you haven't, then go ahead and ask yourself why you haven't. Do you not know how? I think for me, I would be like, well, how do I check my soul? How do I check in? What do I do? I think about it from a very practical standpoint. So there's a million different things to look at there if you just give yourself enough space to think about it. Like meditation's become a pretty big part of my life, but I don't meditate like typical people do. The cross your legs and the whole Zen thing. But I do have moments where I just don't let anything. I'll sit on the best way to look at it is I'm sitting on a riverbank and my thoughts are boats and I'm just watching the boats just float down the river, just float on by, and that's a green boat and that's a blue boat and that's a big boat and that's a small boat, and I'm just seeing them for what they are and I'm just letting them drift by. I'm not trying to get on any of them. I'm not trying to figure out where they're going. I'm not trying to figure out anything other than I'm just observing them. That's meditation for me. Just sit there and just let the thoughts come by, because you're not going to be able to just block your brain out and just go like completely black. It doesn't work like that. You just have to start taking a second to stop paying attention to everything that we're always paying attention to and pay attention to nothing. And that's when all these. In fact, I'm going to make this a checklist item. Number 7 is going to be learn some form of meditation, because meditation is on a very basic level. It's you just giving yourself some room to breathe and get to know yourself better. On a much deeper level, you're opening yourself up to vibrations that the universe has in store for you that you had no idea could come to you, and you could literally become a millionaire overnight if you worked hard enough, or if you learned how to harness these frequencies. Like, meditation is no freaking joke. I've watched it heal people from, terminal diseases. I've watched meditation cure like a lot of the bipolar and a lot of the mental illnesses that are really common these days. I've seen it just go away when people just take a second to be with themselves and stop judging everything that we're doing and thinking and why we're doing it. And it's okay sometimes to just observe, but observe yourself. So learn how to meditate, because if you're able to do that, I think a lot of these other things that we're talking about as far as checklist items will probably just kind of fall into place naturally. They're just going to be things that you're going to want to do because you're going to be more self-aware and more confident in yourself. Because if you take a second to slow down and teach yourself something new, guess what that does? It builds confidence, because you just did something for yourself that nobody else had to do, and you realize that you're way more powerful than you think you are. And that's where I think a lot of the value from this event is going to come from people just realizing that they've got way more to offer than they probably realize. So many people do. It's so crazy. You talk about those different examples of the long haul trucker and the insurance salesman. These are normal people on paper. They're nothing extraordinary, and maybe they're not well known, but they're people that are good people and passionate about what they do, that want to figure out a way to make the world a better place and make money while doing it. Dude, I try to dissect your business model from so many different angles to see where the rub is, and I just can't find it. Like, it's a good, solid business that really can work for anybody. This is probably the only profession that almost everybody in the world could do, right? Like, is there anything that you couldn't, unless you have a severe mental, and you're not able to communicate or whatever, but other than that, like, dude, this is something that I love, the fact that the idea of breaking generational cycles, because that's a big thing, right? Have you guys noticed that? The older I get, the more I'm seeing how things just kind of stay in families and stay in people, and they just think that's who they are. Yeah. They just think that's part of the hand they were dealt and the course they have to stay. You don't have to. You could literally learn how to make really great ghetto hood food and make a ghetto cookbook and sell that, and it's like that would change your family for generations. Dude, it's so powerful. And I'm pumped that you guys are doing this. And the final question I wanted to ask is, what makes this mastermind different from any others before?
Because I would say we've been teaching this for 6 years, and the fact of the matter is, just like what you had to do in 2011, Keaton, what you've had to do in the past, and Dave, if you're a part of that, we've always tried to teach this in the fastest way possible. Yeah. But it is work. There's no getting around it. There's no magical money machines, no magic wand that puts money in your bank account. Everybody knows that. You got to do the work, but you don't have to do it alone. The reason it makes this different is truly we've been able to leverage technology. Don't think of it as AI or fancy tech. Just think of shortening the curve between, yes, I want to do this, to when you could be ready to get results. It's just condensed the time. So to have the ability to have Tony and Dean type of thinking in your pocket, to have pre-loaded templates of marketing plans and courses and trainings, that stuff just didn't. When I started, I had to film an infomercial. I had to build a product. I had to put it in the warehouse. I had to pay for cassette tapes and DVDs. All those things just got easier and easier. But the last year has really made this, I look at it like a wave, right? Like, this industry is at $1 billion a day right now. Just 6 years ago when we started, it was at 200 million a day. It's at $1 billion a day right now, and it's expected to go to $1 trillion a year. Why? Because people want specialized knowledge. They don't want to go back to school. They want to learn how to be a long-haul trucker. They want a long-haul trucker that's been doing it before them. They want to learn how to be better at selling sales insurance. They want to find someone who's got insurance and doing better. They want to get better at cooking tortillas. They don't want to go to the Culinary Institute of America. They want to find your buddy who's cooking amazing tortillas. Like, the world has shifted. My kids, your kids, our kids will never go. Our kids are going to look for information and somebody is willing to share it. So this industry has shifted. And people want to learn from you. And I had somebody, I digressed here for a second, but I want to tell you, I had a buddy, Trent Shelton. He was an ex-football player, really good dude. And he's in this industry now. He's got a huge following. He does a lot of inspirational stuff. And he said, not only do you have something people need to hear, there are people out there waiting that can only hear it from you. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Yeah. Right? There's people that don't know me that are watching you guys today. They don't follow me. They follow you guys. And there's people that don't follow you, don't follow me. They follow Tony, and they don't follow the three of us, and they follow Jenna Kutcher or somebody else. There is somebody's voice for you. We just got to unlock it, package it, and show you how to get it out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Guys, this is a really cool opportunity for all of us, including us. This is something that I don't want the listeners and viewers to think like, they're selling us on a really great product. No, we are in this product with you. We're doing this with Dean and Tony. Like, we are consumers and customers of the same information that you are going to be able to have access to. So this is something that I love how it's real time. And I've felt the sense of urgency about this mastermind. And the reason why I felt like it was different is because you guys have such a insanely cool product that you didn't have a year ago. You didn't have, 2, 3, 4 years ago. Like, all the technology and everything has culminated to this point where you guys have just a damn good, program.
This is killer. That's why we named it The Game Has Changed, because it really has changed, and you want to be in front of that wave.
Yep.
Simple as that. If you're a surfer, if you're in front of the wave, it pushes you to shore. If you're a foot behind it, you missed it.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. All right. I'm going to recap the checklist items one last time. Number 1 is click the link, and that link is deanandtonylive.com/dieselbros. Number 2, open your damn mind to whatever it is you need to open it to, whether it's new business opportunities, new friends, new foods. Just try something. Number 4, take action with the tools you have. I love that, because if I'm a carpenter and all I have is a hammer and I don't have the big fancy Milwaukee tool set like all the other carpenters have, doesn't matter. I can still go hit nails. I can still go, build a house. I can still go do something. So just start with what you've got, and you'll realize that a lot of things just kind of fall into place. It's kind of a cheat code, and I don't know how to explain it, but once you just kind of start implementing some of these things, sometimes you don't even have to do all of them, because things kind of just start falling into place because you start believing in yourself in a way that you never have before. Ultimately, that's what this creates, is this self-belief that, holy shit, I do have something to offer, or holy shit, I can change my family and the generational cycles that we've been stuck in. Like, it's just a matter of realizing that you can actually do it. And this is a perfect way to open your eyes to that in the most simple way possible. That's why this is not a course that's just specific to business owners or this or that. This is specific to anybody who wants to...
Who's hungry.
Be hungry. If you're hungry, let's go. This is it. Number 5, put something on your not to-do list. This might be my favorite one, because it's probably the one that you're going to notice the biggest difference the fastest. Like, it's going to be the one thing that you're going to be like, oh, okay, whoa. I didn't realize that whatever that was not doing me any favors, and so good, I feel better without it. Number 6, check your soul. Check your soul is a very daunting thing to try to process. How do I check my soul? Well, that leads us into number 7, which is meditate. Figure out some form of meditation, and then, when you get to that moment where you're feeling peace and you're feeling, calm, ask yourself those questions like, am I doing what I want to be doing? Could I be doing more? Am I capable of more? Am I, is that, what's holding me back from making this change? Why am I not putting that one thing on my not to-do list? Like, guys, it's very simple, and hopefully these steps will help you get there. And then hopefully you're all going to join us on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of June, because it's going to be an incredible event. We'll have some more information for you guys soon as far as the watch party, how we're going to do that. But we're going to make this as engaging as we possibly can, because we're actually excited about it. That's the difference. You'll see us in the past, we've promoted an event or this or that, and if we don't seem like super pumped about it, it's because it's just kind of another day in our of work for us. This is something that is not just another day of work for us. This is something that we're super excited about because it's going to change a lot of people's lives, and we're all going to be able to kind of witness that together. So I'm so stoked to see those of you who are listening that, you're going to sell tortilla handbooks, or you're going to teach people how to just stop. Like, there's so many easy mistakes that you can help people from making, and they'll thank you for this information. So hopefully you guys will join us. And again, that link is Dean and Tony, or Tony and Dean? Now I've said it too many times.
Dean and Tony.
DeanandTonyLive.com/Diesel Bros. Dean, you're a good man, dude. We really appreciate you. You're
Thanks,
sincere.
I appreciate you guys. I want to tell you, I meant what I said. I so enjoyed this conversation, and I really enjoyed that we had the opportunity to sit across from each other for dinner, my wife and us, for a couple of hours. It was unbelievable to get to know you guys, and I become a lifelong fan of you guys. You're doing amazing things. You're having fun. You're showing people what's possible. You got me fired up to do cool stuff again. Keep doing all the cool stuff you're doing. And for those, if you're still listening to us today, I promise you'll thank these guys for getting you that link to join for free. It's going to be something pretty special. And I promise you won't leave thinking, I can't believe I came. You'll be, I'm glad I didn't miss it. Because either way, you'll leave inspired to tap into another version of you that we all know lives there. So look forward to seeing you on the 13th. You guys are amazing, and see you soon.
Right, Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man.